Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Help for the Guildless. My name, of course, is Antoine. And before I get to the topic at hand, I want to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy this. I have something special for you today. I have a guest. Now, that doesn't normally happen. I usually do this on my own, but this is a very important guest. In the culture war that is going on at this very moment in liberal colleges all around the country, I'm going to be talking to one of them. His name is Deckard. He is 19 years old, he's a freshman in college, and he happens to have some very interesting points on certain things that have happened to him at school and what he's dealing with in an actual ethics course. Deckard, say hello.
Hi, my name's Deckard.
A little nervous?
Yeah, I haven't done this in a while.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
So like he said, I'm 19. I go to an art school. I'm taking an ethics class right now. Basically, I live a normal life. I'm not any specialer than anybody else, but I do have some opinions, as most people do nowadays. So, yeah.
Would you consider yourself a liberal, a libertarian, a conservative, a Democrat, a Republican, anywhere in between?
I guess Republican? Yeah.
He says with a confused look on his face. Let's just say I've known Deckard for a while. He has some very conservative views, which are fine, but he's the one that requested this. So I'm going to ask him why, and we're going to find out. So, Deckard, why did you want to talk on Help for the Guildless?
So I got into a heated argument/debate about a week ago concerning the national anthem protests and reasoning behind them that are kind of sweeping the NFL right now. And also just a general kind of why people are disrespecting our flag and standing up against the flag when it's just, I don't agree with that. I agree with the fact that people can protest what they want, but the flag is a symbol of us as a nation and as a strong people, and people are protesting the government and using the flag as their kind of basis to do it off of. And I just don't agree with that. That's kind of why I wanted to get on here and talk. Mostly about this argument, though, because it was a very interesting topic, to say the least.
You said something interesting. You said that you're upset that they're protesting our government. You understand that this country was founded on a huge protest of a government.
Oh, no, I understand that. And I'm fine with the protests of the government. What I'm disappointed in the people is that they're protesting it by protesting the flag. And the flag, again, is a symbol of our nation and as our will for freedom and as people. And I don't like that people are saying, well, because the flag is the symbol of the government, we're going to not stand for the flag and we're not going to look to it. You know, every morning there are military bases in all parts of the world that raise that flag, and men look to that flag for courage and for just it reminds them what they're fighting for, why they're doing what they're doing. And to me, it's ridiculous that people are saying, well, we're not going to respect the flag because we don't like Trump, or we don't like this, or we don't like that. Respect the flag because that flag is what stands for the American people and the American will to be free.
So what do you say about the military personnel that do not have a problem with the protests? They encourage them. Now, I understand your take on it, making it about they're disrespecting the people that are giving their lives for this country. But there are military personnel out there that are saying it's perfectly fine. I mean, that's what they are fighting for.
Again, this is just my opinion. Everybody has opinions, so...
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, what do you think of the military personnel about that? Do you think they're in the wrong?
No, because, okay, so military personnel, I'm an outside looking in. I wanted to go in the military when I was younger, but I won't, I never will, and I respect every military person because they had the courage and the strength to do something that I never could. So for that, I thank them. Now, the people that say that it's okay to protest the government through disrespecting of the flag, no, I don't really agree with that, just because, you know, when I was brought up, I was always told, well, flag, it stands strong, and this is, every morning you should look at our flag and be like, well, yes, this is what makes us a people, makes us strong, always respect the flag. So I guess I'm kind of looking from that standpoint where you never should disrespect the flag, because the flag again, as a symbol.
You have. I just want to clarify. Okay, so set the scene, shall you? What happened to make you want to come here?
Okay, so I was sitting in my ethics class, and every week the teacher opens with question of have there been any ethical situations that have arisen in the past week, because I have these classes one time a week. And the first one that came up was about the national anthem protests. And the question was posed not really from an ethical standpoint, but why is there protests? And there is a young lady in the class who basically went into this whole thing about why people are protesting it. They're protesting the song and what the song stands for. Now, up to this point, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that there were verses behind the initial song in the Star-Spangled Banner that there are, and what they are protesting, according to her, is one of the verses that falls behind the initial song. So I posed the question to her, where in the song does it say this? And she said it's not said in the song, it's said in the actual writing of the song that's not heard. So the class went on for about another 15 minutes after this. She stops class, looks at me, and reads me the verse, basically telling me that this said verse in the Star-Spangled Banner basically encourages police brutality. It talks about how the people of America have trampled on the graves of slaves and have basically made a fortune off their back, and how it very convoluted. And when I looked up this verse...
Do you have it on you?
Yes, I do.
We all do. We have a phone. Of course we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so from my last video, it was determined that they love my reading voice, so allow me. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. That actually gave me chills. That's a very powerful verse. Now, I understand why they didn't include it in the entire anthem. That's a very dark verse. But what part of that promotes police brutality and slavery?
So according to her, the part that mentions the no refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, she based her entire argument with me on that. Now, when I read this, that just tells me that he's saying that nothing could protect free man, hireling, slave from the battle that was afoot and the war that was coming. Nothing could save them from death or like that. But the way she put it was that this promotes police brutality and promotes that we should drive slaves to the grave and then dance on it while we revel in our money that we've made off them. And that was the basis for her argument.
Now, I understand that all songs are open to interpretation, the national anthem as well. The problem that I have with her basing this on police brutality is that the police of today did not exist back then. We didn't have a police force. We had the Minutemen, we had constables, and we did have roving bands of troops that would patrol certain cities. But we didn't have the police force that we do today. So I don't understand how this could promote police brutality. On top of that, her reading comprehension must not be that strong. It's including them in a list. Anyone who has taken a college course of college English would know that. Maybe she slept through it most of the time. But it doesn't say anything about trampling on graves, or dancing in the streets, or taking money from what we've profited off of the war in the slaves' backs. Is she right in the head, or is she one of those people who could, stare at a corner for an hour and be entertained?
Well, I will say she's very opinionated. I don't doubt the fact that she is, she's well of mind. Now, I do want to add that this is all she read from the national anthem. She did not read anything else. What she left out, and I will let Antoine read this, was a verse added just after the Civil War.
Okay, so this happened after the Civil War.
Yes.
When our land is illumined with liberty's smile, if a foe from within strike a blow at her glory, down with the traitor that dares to defile the flag of her stars and the page of her story. By the millions unchained who our birthright have gained, we will keep her bright blazon forever unstained. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave, while the land of the free is the home of the brave. See, from what I get from that is, even from within, if you fuck with us, we're going to destroy you. Which is actually what the Second Amendment is about. The Second Amendment was given to us to be able to defend our freedom, defend our homes, defend our family from threats outside and from within. And that verse itself encapsulates that perfectly. And it praises the people that lost their lives in the Civil War and basically says, we will defend you and your sacrifice. But she didn't read that.
No, she left that part completely out.
So she stopped at what she wanted to hear. This is why context matters, ladies and gentlemen. If you take things out of context, well, things get muddled. So did I touch on why you brought that up, or do you have your own thoughts on it?
Well, it's just how she worded that this had a lot to do. She banked on that slave part really hard when she initially read the first verse. But I read this second part of this verse that's been added after the fact about how thousands were unchained and they gained the birthright that all free men have. And it just boggles me that they want to protest a song that talks about such a triumph in the United States of when we finally said slavery can be no more and now every man is created equal. I guess that's kind of why I wanted to bring that part up.
Well, it completely destroys the narrative she's trying to push. And on top of that, the North winning the Civil War did indeed free the slaves, as we were all taught in school. So, did you bring this verse up to her?
Because of how opinionated she is, I figured that if I brought this verse up after the fact, after a week, when this argument happened, when I saw her next, I figured it wasn't worth it because I didn't want to rehash old business, basically.
But you told me something earlier before we did this. She came to you talking. She brought something up to you.
Yeah. So, during this same, this is hilarious in my eyes, I was approached by the same girl a week later, and she was very apologetic, basically saying how she was sorry, she didn't want to come off as a bitch, she didn't want me to think that she was a bitch.
Too late.
No kidding. So, and how she basically liked the fact that I had something to retort her argument with, and how she thinks that we can be friends and we can offer each other good pointers for good public speaking. Now, I do have a lot of, being only 19, I have a very elaborate history with public speaking. The week before, I was very vocal in opposing her point that she brought up. And I think she took note of that and wasn't prepared for someone to come at her standpoint, and she was just expecting people to accept it.
Well, of course. When I'm assuming the race of the girl in question is of African American descent.
Yes.
So, what most of the time leftists, liberal assholes, when a person of color like that speaks out about slavery, they don't expect someone to talk back. They expect us to just accept it and shut up. Obviously, from these verses, it is perfectly understandable to see that it's not about slavery. You can interpret music however you want, but the verses themselves give a more powerful message, and it's a powerful message of unity and triumph. The fact that she tried to cause a derision over something as simple as one word included in a list of people fighting this battle makes me think that she was just trying to stir the pot.
I got the same feeling. This is the same girl that will stop the teacher mid-sentence and tell him what he's saying is wrong, and then try to get the rest of the classroom to agree with the fact with what she's saying towards why the professor is wrong.
Is your professor white?
Yes.
And he's male?
Yes.
And he's older?
Yes.
Check your white male privilege, Professor! That's what she's saying to you. That's what these liberal idiots in school are telling the people who are actively trying to shape their minds, who do not agree with the hive mind of the left. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I mean, I've been told a lot of times that I have a skewed kind of idea about things, but when it comes to politics, I don't like to get involved unless I'm specifically brought into the conversation. When you start talking about politics with people become very heated and very steadfast in their points and topics, and a lot of the time, unless you can find some very open-minded people, they basically do what this girl did. They tell you their point and they don't want you to argue it, and if you try to, they basically shun you for arguing it.
What's the saying? There are two things you don't talk to friends about, and that's politics and religion.
That's very true. I can attest to that, firsthand.
If that's all you have to say, I honestly want to thank you for coming to me for this podcast. For this topic. It was fun. I honestly enjoy getting the viewpoints of different people. So, any closing statements?
I guess for my closing, I would just say that, okay, I said this in my ethics class, and I'm going to say it again. I think when it comes to everything that's going on right now, everybody needs to have everybody kind of needs to have a bit more of a sense of humor when it comes to these things. And what I mean by that is that people love blowing things out of proportion nowadays, and they love taking things and saying what they don't mean. And I think a lot of people can forget the fact that things are said with either a comical or a lighthearted tone behind them. So it's funny, the question that was posed to us is, who is our ideal person? What traits does he have? And things like that.
You can say me, it's okay.
Yeah. I said, and my friend even asked me, he says, I don't know how you're going to explain this one. I said the ideal person was Peter Griffin. And...
What? Wait. What? What? Peter Griffin?
Yep.
Family Guy?
Yep.
The character that was created to make fun of Homer Simpson.
Yes.
Lucy, you have some splaining to do.
Yes. So the teacher said the same thing. So what I explained is he is always looking at things with, I don't want to say he always takes things with a grain of salt, but he always looks at things with a view. And I guess really the person I should be saying is more of Seth MacFarlane. Because, okay, we look at a show like Family Guy that takes these topics and things and puts such a spin on them where you look at it and go, what the fuck, basically. And I said it almost as a joke, but I do. I think people need to take things with more of a lighter sense of humor. And, because when we look at politics and topics like this nowadays, there isn't really much sense of humor, except for our dear commentators who do present these topics with
mirth and laughter.
Yes, and I feel like that needs to be done more often. So I guess that's kind of my closing, is just everybody needs to lighten up.
Everyone needs to Netflix and chill. Well, I'm going to have to go back and watch Family Guy and try and see from your perspective. So I do want to thank you for coming, and anytime you want to come back with anything, please let me know. That will do it for us here at Help for the Guildless. My name, of course, is Antoine. I've been joined by Deckard. If you have any comments on anything that we talked about today, let us know down below. I'd really like to hear from you. If you like what I do here, please hit like, share, subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of the social medias, all the links will be down below. So thank you once again for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and have a wonderful evening.